sunny day working out here in the boat tent. Today we're going to start working on trying to fair up the shear here so we can get the decks fit and get everything, keep trying to move it forward, and using a little electric planer there and fighting some battery problems, as you can imagine. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the fuel tank, so follow along. Alright, well this time you're going to see us, we're going to go ahead and plane off all of this shear on the sides to get ready to put these decks down. This is kind of just a preview. This all stuff's just sitting here. Just wanted to check the progress. So you're going to see how we get to this point. But before we get into that, I want to reference the boat giveaway. Once again, we're teaming up. Salt Boatworks is working with me. We're going to give away any set of plans, anything from a 12 to 18, the FRS plans. If you just go to this link right up here, there's a whole video that explains the rules. It ends March 31st. We're going to do the drawing and we'll get it all sorted out and get it. And I hope you could just see, if you've watched my videos, I don't have anything special. I mean, I'm working on a piece of concrete. It's probably the only thing special that I have. This tent is, you know, I'm working under a tent that's meant to be set out for events. So anybody can do this. So if you wanted to try this, there's a project that you can do, like even the 12s. You know, the FRS 12s is not near as much work as the 18s, but if you want, you know, if you want to tackle something that's challenging, which I did, the 18 is what I went with. So there's lots of options there. So once again, go check out the giveaway. You know, if you like what we're doing, you like what I'm doing, you know, hit that like and subscribe button, hit the little bell. So you'll also see in the description below, I got a list of all the products that I've used. None of it's super fancy. You know, most of the ROB stuff I just have because I do projects and, you know, I do woodworking, and, you know, I put up this fence, and I do, you know, I have a house that I basically redid from when it flooded. But none of the stuff that I use is very fancy. You're going to see me use today a number 4 Stanley plane that's, you know, because my electric one wouldn't work, but I was going through batteries too fast. I mean, that's just a basic plane. I don't know how much. It's one of the cheapest ones I could find. And I hadn't used it much, but like in these situations, it's come in handy. But all the stuff I use, there are links below. You can just check out what I've used, what I've been doing. You know, like I said, if you buy the products, if you need them, you can go through the link, and I do earn a little bit of a commission off of it. But it helps us to do this project and other stuff that I got coming. So I appreciate it. You can watch this video. We're going to go through it pretty quick here. So thanks for tuning in. I don't know if I showed this last night, if it was able to pick up very well, so I'll do it now. So I cut these pieces when I took my measurements, because I decided to put this on an angle so that this motor well's on an angle, and then we'll put some drains in it on the sides. Because I decided to put that on an angle, the pattern template for that, it's wide enough but it's not long enough. Okay, now maybe you can see it's wide enough, but it's not long enough. This is the original template that was cut out, so that'll go into the scraps. And then when I cut this one, I must not have done it too well. It was late. I must have got tired, but it looks like I was off by about 1 inch everywhere on the width there. So that one's going to go into the reused scrap pile. But I wanted to show this. This is the, okay, this is a start, so I'll take a second to get my hand under it. But I was very surprised in taking all these measurements, how symmetrical the boat is. But I can just trace that one and use it for this side. And then all of this is going to get full of thickened epoxy. Remember, this is, it's like the motor well area. There'll be a covering on here, but this will not be, you know, it's going to be sealed and probably total bilge in here. But it won't be pretty like this piece here, and the motor well itself will be visible like all the time, so it'll be really clean. But there'll be an angled piece that comes in here. Oh, the sun's kind of bright today, so that's what we're working on. But got some of the other pieces in there. The main deck, I was totally surprised with how symmetrical that was. It was amazing, like from the center line to the sides. I think maybe 2 measurements, there were 1/8 of an inch difference, and that may have just been the way that I was reading it. But you know, once again, it's pretty loose as well. I do have one little area up in there where it's kind of got a little wobble, so I got to figure out how to get that what's flat and how to fix it. So we're gonna try and dig in the pile and get a piece to cut this one and recut this one. And then we're gonna come in here and try and start ferreting this shear out, because it's built proud, as you can see right here on the bulkhead. It's built proud of the bulkhead. So we'll come back in here and we're gonna plane this down, and all this, everything should be the same height as the bulkhead with a little bit of sweep. I think it's got a little bit of sweep going to the front. So I've been dreading this, so we're gonna tackle it today. All right, so I just went and dug out of my scrap pile, and you may recognize this piece here from like episode 3 or 4 when I was starting the scarf and gluing the scarf together. Obviously this has been scarfed, but I scarfed it on the wrong side because there is a certain way that it goes. So this is a piece of 3/8, so we're just gonna reuse it. We got another piece of 1/2 inch here, and we'll cut that rear deck out of right there. So that's what we're gonna do now. All right, so I dug through the scrap pile there. You saw those 2 pieces. So we just chased the pattern. You cut this one here. Got all the measurements. Got this one. This one here will have a hatch in it. So we'll be able to reach down in the bilge, deal with all the pumps and all that stuff in there. So it'll be as big as I can make it. I'm gonna measure all that out. We'll look at it now. Nothing else I'll have is to document when I go to cutting on it. So basically I have a 3/4 inch, call it a 1 inch buffer all the way around. So that's just, I'm gonna get the biggest hatch I can get in here, so when I have to work in there, I'll have plenty of room. So that one will go in there, and then on both sides of this, like that side over there and this one. Okay, so this is I think it's about a 9.5 inch opening. Yeah, so it's 9.5 inches in there. So once again, if I make sure that I stay clear of 1 inch all the way around, I should be able to put a good 8-inch hatch, maybe even a 9-inch hatch in there. Once again, big as I can get, so I'll be able to access that drain connection and all that. So I'm hoping that I can just put that bulkhead fitting there, and then just have a short piece of hose to a nipple over there, or a barbed nipple or something. So that's what we're shooting for. So now this will be, as this one slides in here, you can see that's all gonna set. Shadow have a big nuts, but what I'm thinking is, because I have plenty of height, there's 14 inches or so, 14 and 1/4 inches. I'll be able to put a battery tray right here on each side, and that's why I'm thinking about running a battery back here in the back. But all that's going to depend on this whole fuel tank situation. I'm gonna go get it from the storage here in a little while and see what it looks like. So this is what I'm talking about with that fuel tank. So now that I got the floor in there, I want to go get my fuel tank. I've already bought it, but I'm a little worried because I'm only gonna have, looks like 15 inches of clearance. So gotta make sure that I have enough room from the top of the fuel tank for the fill line to come in and then turn that corner. So I'm gonna go get it at some point, and then we'll come back and look at it. But that's kind of how all that filled out. You can see in the daylight, and then once again this one. And it's hard to tell, but there's a little bit of a drop between this one and that one. This one, I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna put a hole through the hull right there on the side and put a clamshell on the outside. Very common. So I'm thinking about that up here. And I've got that eye bolt just sitting in there. I got to pull it back out and bed it. Everything will be bedded once again with either 4200 or 4000, so that if I ever have to take it off, I can. So here we get started. You can see I pulled that batten, and I'm trying to hold it flush with the transom and then each one of those bulkheads as it goes down through there. I'm just trying to give myself a reference line. So once I put that mark there, the top of the mark should be fair and flush with everything else. So, I'm running through this pretty quick because I did a lot of staring and a lot of looking, and I'm trying to cut a lot of that out. But all I'm trying to do here is I go to start fairing this, and I'll describe how, and give you an illustration of how much we have to take off. But all I'm trying to do is give me a reference point of something to shoot for, you know, to know not to go past. Because as I say multiple times in here, you can always cut off more, but you can't ever put it back. And I don't want to get in a situation where I'm trying to fill a gap, you know, at this location. So that's what's happening. This board, follow this angle here. That's pretty good. So that's pretty good. So let's see. So we're gonna match those two up. So we'll see how this goes. But I feel pretty good about that. We're gonna give that a shot. Give me a starting point anyway. Well, as with any project, you know, by the time I got the first side done, I kind of figured out what I needed to be doing and what looked right. And so the second side here, it doesn't take near as long. Kind of figure out how to use my little clamps there, and you know, figure out how to use reference points. And you know, once again, I talk about this thing all the time. That's just it's an 8-foot piece of plywood. It's just a regular piece of plywood, but that I use the factory edge as my straight line. And I'm talking about angles here, but more than anything, what I'm talking about is getting everything level. So I'm measuring that front section there by setting it across those two bulkheads, and then you'll see me using it later in a similar fashion. Well, as you can see, I was kind of really working with that. It's kind of hard with one person, but you know, you think that this batting would be pretty, you know, would kind of just fall in here, but it, man, if you turn it or bow it, you can see that thing walk up and down. Maybe I'll highlight some as I'm fiddling with it. You can see how it goes. It wants to ride up and down. So that's why you see me taking my straight edge and working off each bulkhead to kind of just give me a reference, kind of like I did up here with these marks, just to kind of give me a reference of what I know would be flush with these. You know, I'd like for it to be flush with everything, and I hope it is, but you can see kind of that batten running through there. It's, you know, it's not too bad. That one there may be a little bit low. That may be a little bent. There it looks better. It's not perfect, but we're gonna play it safe. As I come in here and start planing this down, we're gonna make a bunch of racket. Hopefully the planer will knock it down. I may start off with the belt sander, just because I got a lot of pieces of fairing compound and stuff. So I don't want that to be a safety issue. So I got my glasses, but I want to make a big mess, and I think I can put that vacuum on that sander and just kind of try and get it flat and flush. But I don't know, I'm gonna see how it works. I may start with the planer and just get after it. But I'd like to get this done. I've laid in bed and worried about this plenty of times. Now on this other side, I'm a little worried about which one it is. But like I said, I'm gonna start high, and I think it's, you know, it's easy to see right here. You know, really, you're gonna cut all of that board off right here. You're gonna paint it all the way down, but you can see how much of it's sticking up. Should be able to see. I mean, you can see the top of the board, you know, just hitting about here. So all of this has got to go for this to be flush. If not, I'd have to build all this up, and I know that all these should be flush, and I've checked that in the past, I think. So that's what we're going to go with. Or I'm going to start, and then we're going to see how it looks. And then we can always cut a little bit more, but it's hard to put it back. So I'm very nervous about this part, because once you go too far, I don't know how to fix it, other than adding wood, glass and stuff. So I'm trying to do this the quickest way possible. So we're going to, once again, we're going to just see. I'm kind of wanting to put those floors in there, and maybe they'll catch some of this gradu and all this dust and stuff that's about to go flying. So we'll see. speed this up quite a bit because it is really just a lot of the same. You can see the planing. I'm gonna stop a couple times and talk about, you know, what I'm doing. And here's a little funny bit that's gonna come up, is that bow was just too high, so I had to get up in the boat, and it's, you know, now I'm bending way over. But it was better like this than the other way. So, and all I'm doing is that little planer, you know, being cordless, it doesn't have the torque that an electric one does. So you really can't take a big bite. So I'm literally taking probably a 32nd or a 64th at a time. And you can't see really, but I got to take almost 3/4 of an inch here. Well, as you can see, the sander was going much too slow. And it's hard to see maybe from that camera. You can see what I'm pointing to is my line on the inside. Fairly close to it, so kind of don't want to go any farther until I can get the rest of this down, and then I can kind of see how it all lays out. So it's going all right. It's just going to take a little while, but that wasn't but about, you know, maybe 5 minutes, and, you know, got a pretty good chunk down. So I'm sure we're going to go through some batteries, but so we got a lot of them. So. Yeah, if only there was a way to make the boat lower. So you get an idea there just how much drag is putting on that planer. I don't know if the planer blade is dull. I mean, I only used it for scarfing. Maybe that was enough. Probably need to sharpen it, but it was chewing through batteries pretty fast. So, you know, I'm going through there just trying to whittle this thing down, and it's, you know, it's not going as fast as I hope, but it's going fine. I tried to use that belt sander with like 40 grit paper, and it just, I don't know if that wood's so hard or the fiberglass or whatever it is, but it was quite a bit tougher than I was expecting to get it planed down. But, you know, I've got my marks, and you see me using that little board there, just trying to make sure it stays flush. So what I did do is I brought that sander out when I kind of felt like I was done, and I'm just trying to make sure that I have it pretty level, side to side. So that's all you see me doing here, and I run out of batteries, so I picked up that belt sander just to be able to see if I could whittle away at it. And you can see I'm thinking I'm just fine tuning. And if you see me stretching that board across that rear bulkhead there and then the bow, I'm looking at the gap. I'm looking to see if there's any gap in that middle. Kind of what I'm doing here is I'm looking for a gap in that middle one, and that tells me that I need to either take the side off, take some more off the side, or take some off the stern, which you'll see me do. So now back to the planer, and, you know, with a good fresh battery, you know, the thing operates a whole lot better. But it's, you know, it's not, like I said, it's not as good as an electric, using an electric planer. But it's, you know, it's what I have, so that's what we're using. But, you know, we made plenty of dust, believe me. But this side here, you know, once again, the first time doing this, I'm being real cautious because I don't want to go too far. I think I talked about it earlier or later. You know, you can always cut off a little bit more, but you know, if I go too low, then I got to bring in some other solutions that just aren't as good as having all of this stuff intact. So I'm trying to be real cautious to make sure that I just creep up on where it needs to be and not go too far. But, you know, like I said, I've laid in bed many a nights worrying about how I was going to do this, but just glad to finally to tackle it. And it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be, like most things that I've dreaded. So I'm going to keep working. Well, as you can see, one of the problems with having a cordless tool is you got to have batteries, and I'm running low right now, although I do see one right there I'm going to use, and I got my other charger out. So anyway, you can see where here I kind of took the line a little bit, but I was checking this with that board. You can kind of see where it goes around there flat. I don't know if you can see on this side, if y'all can see it, but as you look down there, right about there, which I noticed it when the boat was upside down, it was bowing out the side skin right there. So by the time I've glassed it and all, maybe you can kind of see it right there. Probably, you know, it's done. Ain't nothing I can do about it. Ain't nothing I'm gonna do about it. But as you can see, that's why I wanted to put those in there, get some of that dust, and we'll vacuum it all out at once. But still got quite a bit to do right here, you know, this whole side. And that planer is just a lot quicker, so we'll use it here in a little while. All right, well, I finally went and got it, and it's not as I was hoping. So this is a 27-gallon molar tank, just a rectangular tank, 27 gallons, and it's lists 11.75 inches, I think, to the top, but you have to take into account the fuel tube here. So just in rough references, if I put this batten across here, you can see there is just not enough room, because from the bottom of this, even your fuel tube is going to come down 3 inches or so. So there's no easy way for this tank to work. So I'm either going to have to look at a custom tank, or I'm going to have to go to a smaller tank. I can be wider, you know, here. I just got to be lower. They do list some tanks that are 8 inches tall, which I feel pretty sure would work. You know, 3 inches of difference may make the difference. If nothing else, I can go to a straight up and down fill. I don't feel like that's an option here because I just don't have enough room. So I'm gonna keep evaluating and looking at options and see what a custom tank would look like. But you know, that's kind of the thought. You know, 27 gallons. You know, if I go with custom tank, I'll probably go a little bit bigger, just because I'd like to have the capacity, even if I don't ever use it all. So that'll be the next step. So now we're gonna go back. Obviously it's a new day that ran out of battery, so we're gonna finish planing down this shear here and get it like this one. I'm a little concerned that my batten, I'm hoping it's just because it's sitting there, but it's got a little bit of a bend to it. So I go get another one just to double check. But that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and plane this down, and that's gonna run in time lapse. So we'll stop and talk a few times in the middle. Well, that's gonna do it for this one. But this is what we got coming up. We're gonna get all that planing finished, and we're gonna start seeing what she looks like and keep trying to move the ball towards the goal.